And this is a live look at Hemming Plaza in downtown Jacksonville. There we go. A dozen protesters or so have gathered to voice their opinions on all of this. Action News Jax is there. We're talking with some of those protesters, and they're on the bullhorn there, and they say that they are for military action while others are against it. We'll have that new for you tonight on Fox 30 at 10 and 11 and on CBS 47 at, whoa, hang on a second. Now we see, let's look, what do we have going on right here? We've got a fight breaking out. We've got JSO officers there on the scene. This is no longer a peaceful protest. Can we have somebody, I know Michael Yoshida is down there right now. Can we get Michael Yoshida
it looks like
dialed in here? This is
a fight between protesters, and what you're watching, there was a peaceful protest that was happening down at Hemming Plaza.
Right.
Both people who were for and against that airstrike in Syria yesterday, and just in the turn of a second, you're watching it live here on Fox 30. A fight erupted, it seems, right there at the protest involving several people, but it looks like officers are separating people.
They've got two people down, pinned down here. There's another guy who looked like he had a mask on his face. Actually, they've got about 3 or 4 people detained right now. And Haley, if you could, let's get Michael Yoshida. I know he's there. Can we get him wired up either in the phone or with a microphone? I'd like to be able to hear what he's seeing. He's able to tell us is happening here. We're working to get Michael Yoshida on the phone. They've got 2 people there. There's Michael.
He's working to get some audio going. And there, it looks like they have a woman they were trying to detain. Okay, let's listen in with Michael.
We've been out here for about
Let's keep working on that, Michael. But you can see, just hearing that briefly, you can hear how tense this situation is right now. A lot of people with a lot of emotions going right now. The bullhorn is going, and officers there struggling to detain. It looks like about 3, maybe 4 people right now by my count.
All right, we have Michael's microphone now. Let's listen in and find out what's happening out there. Michael.
Hey, T, we've been here for about 10 minutes. You can see the scene right now. This all took place in the last 2-3 minutes. It was a very intense scene going on right now. You see several JSO officers out here. I can tell you when we first got out here, it was very peaceful. There were some...
You guys get paid with our taxes, and this is what you do to freedom for. You guys live from us. We pay your salaries.
It looks like officers have this thing somewhat under control now. It was pretty crazy there for a few minutes, but we've, there's still a lot of yelling going on, but at least there's not the pushing that we saw.
Yeah. So the camera movements and the chaotic scene here, this is all playing out live in front of us. You can see some people who appear to be even recording officers or recording these arrests. Michael Yoshida is there, and you can see officers kind of pulling someone across the street right now. Again, this was a protest regarding the airstrike in Syria last night. As we know, nearly 60 missiles were dropped on a base there in Syria. This was in response to the chemical attacks that happened where women and children were seen. Very disturbing video that came out. The airstrike happened yesterday. The protest was there today, and live on TV, in the middle of this peaceful protest, John, it appears some kind of fight or disturbance erupted, and now you see JSO putting someone in the car, in the back of a squad car.
Yeah, all this happening here at Hemming Plaza downtown. There were only a little more than a dozen people there,
yeah,
really. Small gathering, but the police force responded quickly, to their credit, and it looks like they've got at least one person in the back of that patrol car. You saw 3 or 4 others with handcuffs on, and this person is apparently refusing to get in the rest of the way of that car. Just a very quickly developing chaotic scene, and like to stay with this. We're still working to get Michael Yoshida live there to give us a better idea of just how this all. But you see the person there with the bandana over their mouth. They're still yelling, and it's unclear who they're upset with right now.
Yeah.
But again, as you mentioned, people on both sides of the issue here with the aerial assault on Syria, by the United States last night in response to that chemical weapons attack a couple days ago on Tuesday night. And really just a lot to sort through here, as the crowd seems to have grown, as you would expect when there's a chaotic scene in a very public area. The protest was getting a lot of attention there just a few minutes ago. And so now you have a lot of other folks who have come to see what's happening.
Yeah, and this is live again here on Fox 30, and we don't have the audio right now because there's a lot of yelling, and we cannot control what people say. So we want to make sure that we're being careful as to what you're hearing. But our Michael Yoshida is there. You can see several officers that have the roadblock. It looks like he's working to try to give us some information about what's happening out there. Michael, if you can hear me, what happened? What do you know so far?
Hey, Tanika, like I was trying to tell you before, when we first got here, there was probably 5 to 10 anti-Trump protesters and 5 to 10 here supporting Trump. Now, as this protest got underway, there was a lot of people on microphones right in this area. Things started to get tense. There were several JSO officers here trying to keep the peace, but then in a matter of seconds, as you've been seeing, it got out of control here. We've been following the scene throughout. If we walk this way, you can get a sense of just the anger and the frustration between the various crowds. You can hear there's a lot of emotion out here. We have a very, very intense scene here. Quite a few more JSO officers have shown up just in the last few minutes. You can see a Trump support. And we're working to get more information from JSO. You saw several people being put into police cruisers here just in the last 5 minutes. It seems things are starting to die down now. Some of those who were here for this original protest against the actions taking place in Syria, they're starting to walk down the street here, moving to the other side. I think an attempt to try and cool the emotions and feelings here. We're seeing some conversation happening between JSO and one of the leaders of this protest. Looks like he's walking off. If we go that way, Adrian, if you want to look that way. That was the gentleman who first started this protest. Let's walk across the street, Adrian. And even if we look through the street as we're walking, you can see just the amount of patrol cars here, Adrian. There was...
Michael, I was going to ask you about the presence of JSO, because I'm guessing a lot of these cars that we're seeing right now are the cars that have quickly responded since the chaos broke out of this protest. And I'm guessing...
Right. When we got here, there was, I'd say, 5 or so that I could count JSO in the Hemming Park area. And once emotions erupted, we saw a very quick response, and then you saw the scene playing in front of you there on the screen when protesters and officers were going back and forth in a very physical altercation. Yeah, still very, very active out here. This is just one of the scenes, actually, that's happening. If we pan around, Adrian, let's just give them a sense. You see more JSO arriving down the street. There, that's at Laura Row, and if you walk back this way where the protest originally started, let's see what's happening. You can see even more JSO. We have several showing up on schools as well, but it looks like things are starting to die down here, but a very, very intense scene for all those involved. I mean, we had those.
And if you're listening in, if you're watching, look, we're just going to get you caught back up again. This is Hemming Plaza downtown. There was a protest tonight with people for and against the airstrike in Syria, the U.S. airstrike in Syria yesterday. In the midst of that protest, from what Michael Yoshida has been able to gather, he says it was a handful of Trump supporters, a handful of people who were against Trump, and some sort of dispute happened. We were bringing this to you live on TV as John was describing this peaceful protest when it appeared some kind of fight or disruption happened. JSO officers jumped in. We saw several people being forced to the ground in handcuffs, one person being put in the back of a squad car, several people, John, pulling out their phones, kind of recording this transaction. And in the meantime, Michael just tells us that the people who were there for the initial protest on Syria kind of separated from that crowd possibly. So we see a lot of officers on scene. More are showing up trying to diffuse the situation, but we still don't know, John, what sparked this disturbance.
We don't. We see what the banners, you know, I can see that we've got a Trump banner right there. We've got, there was something about wanting peace somewhere just a few minutes ago. We saw that. So we don't know exactly what prompted the fight that then caused JSO to have to get involved. But we do know that there was a lot of passion and yelling going on, and want to just let everybody know it's happening live here. So if you might have heard things that you didn't like to hear, we apologize for that, because that is out of our control, certainly. But that's why we don't have the audio right now where Michael is, as he's trying to you know, figure out exactly what else is happening and how JSO is going to, you know, keep an eye on this. Right now, they're letting these folks say their piece, but if it starts to get physical, that's when they jump in, and that's exactly what we saw with. I counted at least 3 or 4. Did you? Where they had people on the ground, and we saw the men and women, and they took those folks off in patrol cars just a few minutes ago, and you're seeing this all unfold live right here on Fox 30 Action News Jax.
Yeah, and as you said, they are allowing people to exercise their freedom of speech. The people who, I guess, were part of that disturbance, it looks like they tried to put them in handcuffs, but people are still talking to the officers right now. Michael Yoshida kind of in the crowd, going from side to side, trying to figure out what's going on. He's trying to talk to one of the people who was leading this initial protest as well.
Yeah, we're going to stay on top of this breaking news as it unfolds. We'll check back in it in just a few minutes, but first we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Tell me how the day unfolds. Traffic fast, the traffic slow. This feeling is so fine, I gotta say. You're just a touch away. You're everywhere, got you everywhere. Everywhere I go, go. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go.
According to HomeValue.com, many Jacksonville area home values are at an all-time high. I'm Robert Palmer, president of RP Funding. If you're thinking about a home loan to turn some of your equity into cash, call RP Funding. Don't let anyone take your hard-earned equity to pay for closing costs. Let me pay them instead. Visit rpfunding.com or call today. Protect your equity with our no closing cost refinance.
Wherever you want to go, chances are a Honda can take you there. Whether that's a camping trip, there's room in the HRV.
Thanks.
Or a weekend of home improvement in the Ridgeline. Or a weekend away in the Pilot. And only Honda can bring you the Honda Dream Garage sales event, going on now. Visit your local Honda dealer today.
This is a ClassAction.com consumer alert. Homes built before 1975 may have pipe erosion that can cause major water damage to your home. If you have water damage, warped floors, slow drains, or even a water-stained wall, you may have leaking pipes below your foundation, right under your feet. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Call or visit pipelawsuit.com now to learn more.
The city, the school, the neighborhood, the cul-de-sac, the neighbors, the house next door to the neighbors, the RE/MAX agent. The RE/MAX agent who scoped out the school, checked out the cul-de-sac, met the neighbors, greeted the mailman, talked to the kids, found a friend, and discovered the house that she knew the family would love at 107 Meadow. The knowledge to find what's right for you. That's the sign of a RE/MAX agent.
The First Alert 7-day forecast, on air, online, and on the go. Brought to you by ViStar. ViStar now has new higher rate certificates of deposit, up to 1.30% APY for 15 months. Visit ViStarCU.org for information.
All right, we're following breaking news downtown tonight. Just a few minutes ago, we were live when a fight broke out at a Syria protest in downtown.
Now, it happened in Hemming Plaza, and there appeared to be several fights and arrests, or at least people taken into custody. Action News Jax Michael Yoshida was there as this unfolded live for us on Fox 30. But Michael, things appear to be under control right now. A lot of police down there.
Today, got a lot of police. Like you said, things have seemed to have cooled down for the moment right now since those fights took place. Just give you a quick sense of the scene. We have a lot of JSO on scene responding very quickly once that fight broke out. You could see them spread throughout the area around Hemming Park, and conversations continue to go on between those involved in organizing this protest and those who turned out against the protests. Let's go to some video from earlier when one of those fights broke out. Happened, I'd say, about 5 to 10 minutes into this protest. Started very calm, to be honest. There was 5 to 10 people against the actions taking place in Syria, but that quickly got out of control. We had officers jumping into the fights, trying to break people up. Eventually, we saw people taken away into their patrol vehicles. And since then, the conversations have continued between officers and those who were here for this protest. Still waiting to get answers from some of the leaders of JSO here at the scene right now. A lot of conversations going on about who were some of the instigators into starting the fight. You can see, actually, if we go right there, a lot of conversations happening as JSO, again, tries to figure out what led to this fight, to this protest. If we pan through, you see Trump supporters as well. There's one leaning against a patrol vehicle right there. He was one of the, actually turned out to be quite a few Trump supporters who turned out to this event. But you can see a lot of this area has started to disperse. A lot of people we've talked to are now heading home or walking to different parts of the downtown area as emotions are starting to, appears again for the moment, die down here out in Hemming Park. But hopefully things turned very quickly out here this afternoon and evening, and probably just in a matter of minutes. So we're going to stay out here, continuing to work to get answers from JSO about what happened to those individuals that we saw get taken away, put into patrol vehicles, and also about the measures they had in place when we first got out here. Say there were 5 to 8 officers spread throughout the area, but quickly, very quickly, things got out of control. We'll work to get all these answers, have the very latest for you tonight on Action News Jax.
All right, Michael Yoshida there live in the middle of chaos, and we'll let him catch his breath there. But boy, just in the the 15 minutes that this thing quickly unfolded, we saw a few officers there, and now, as you see there in Michael's live shot, just dozens and dozens of patrol cars. So they have flooded that scene to try to get that situation under control, which it appears they have done just that.
Yeah, and again, this was the result of a fight that erupted during a protest regarding the airstrike, the U.S. airstrike on Syria yesterday. Again, Michael Yoshida is there sorting all of this out, and we're going to have a full report for you tonight, including a bigger look at this issue and what that means for U.S. relations with other countries tonight at 11 on Fox 30 and 10 o'clock as well. Let's go over to meteorologist Garrett Bedenbaugh with a look at the weather.